it's okay. Okay.
Do we need to trade chairs? No, because I used to sit on that one, didn't I?
It'll feel weird. I'll end up talking to that wall. And you'll end up talking to that wall.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Alicia,
Let's try. Felipe, how are you? Are you hiding from me? Oh, man.
I'll lean forward. Maybe that'll help.
Okay. Hi! I think it's episode 11.
It is. If the last episode didn't get ruined, this is episode 11. But did, then it's episode
Otherwise,
10.
we'll still make it episode 11, and then, like, years from now, we can be like, the lost episode. And then we can just make something up and be like, yeah, and we can put a little blurb at the beginning, like, explaining, like, some, like, BS reason why it was never aired. Yeah.
There's massive amounts of profanity, that's why it wasn't here.
Yeah. Last week, we drew one, and it was for Christ in the Workplace. / women.
Whatever, what did we even mean by that originally? I don't remember.
It would be kind of funny if, like, when I wasn't around, like, if you just snuck a bunch of weird ones in.
That
like,
one's in your
put it
handwriting.
Well, they were all in my, I was writing down all of them,
Yeah.
but if you came in here and then we pulled it out, we were like,
Potpourri.
yeah, lizards in public school. Pro or con? I'm pro.
I don't wonder how I would have felt about that as a kid. More lizards would probably... No, I like lizards.
I like lizards. I
remember
lizards.
catching them in buckets. And I was allowed to bring it home, and I thought it was forever, but it was only for 2 days. And I was really sad when they made me...
Lizard, I thought we were forever. Okay, should we draw right now?
Yeah, you should draw this one, because I did the last one.
Wheel of Morality. Turn. Show us the lesson that we should learn. Yes! Christians and food.
Yes! I'm pregnant. I can do this one. Do the heck out of
What
this.
Christians get right. That's what we're doing next week. Things that Christians actually get right.
Food. We do food right.
And small talk. Those are it shouldn't be, I mean, that's like all I have so far. So we shouldn't give it all away for free.
Don't worry. I can bring you lots of stuff. I've read whole books on this subject.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Today, though.
Yes. Focusing.
Today, I have notes. I always have notes. They can't see the
Thank
table.
goodness, because I don't do notes.
I keep all my notes.
Every last notes.
I should put them in a book. And then someday be like, I don't have room for this crap. And throw it away. Oh, do I have it backwards? No, I don't have it backwards. Okay, so Christians at work. Okay, the first thing I was just listening to like sermons online, and I actually do like Sky Jatani quite a bit. He gives the same sermons over and over and over. So like on YouTube, sometimes I'll be like, I'll listen to this one, and then like 2 minutes into it, I'll be like, oh, I've heard this one before.
I tried listening to one, and I'm pretty sure I'd heard somebody else give it. Like the first 5 minutes, I was like, okay, I'll stick to the podcast.
But one of the points that he made on this one, and this one was actually at because he talks a lot of conferences, so this was a conference for ministers, and I think maybe mega church ministers.
Specifically.
Yes,
there are a lot of those these days. I guess they can have their own conference.
Yeah, I think it was a conference for mega church.
That'd be fun to go to. Oh.
Or not.
My little social science that wants to study Christian's brain is going, it would just be like...
Just Google it and sign up for one and go.
That's like falling into a vat of pudding. That's what that's like. Like, home.
I don't ever want to fall into a vat of pudding.
You gonna read that there? Okay, this is just really...
I've had conversations in high school about how that's not a good situation at all. First of all, it's going to be hard work swimming through that pudding. You're going to get sweaty. Your sweat's going to become part of the pudding. You just always have to go fast enough that you leave your sweat behind you and you only eat the pudding that's in front of you.
You're not meant to think too hard about it. You just enjoy the bliss of it.
Immediately, that's what I think of. Okay.
I think of lots of pudding.
The proof is in the pudding, and the proof is my sweat.
Women in the world.
Okay, no. He was encouraging the pastors, though. He made a point of saying that, like, well, the first thing I've heard him say, and I think he stole it from somebody, I really like it, though. Oh, I can almost remember who he said he got it from. I can't remember, though.
See it, maybe I know.
And it is that your church, or really any system, is perfectly designed to produce the results you have.
Oh.
So he's saying if you're getting bad results, you need to look at how your system is set up, because your system is set up perfectly to give you those results. And so then he was telling them, if your members are not active in their everyday lives, you need to quit encouraging them to engage inside of the institution. And you need to start encouraging them instead to be engaging outside of your institution. So don't ask people to be giving all their time and money to work within the confines of the church. They have very limited resources. You need to be equipping them to pour those resources outside of the church. Yeah, like the church can't be eating up all of your resources, because those resources are supposed
then what's the point?
Yeah, they're supposed to be given outside. Like, that's not the job of the church to, like, build up the ministry of the church. The point of the church is to, like, get people ready to do ministry outside. I really liked that. And then, I don't remember if it was him or somebody else was just talking about how, like, for Christians, especially, like, millennial Christians right now, like, vocational training, or, like, training on, like, how you can do any specific job, like, as a ministry, is, like, really important. And so he was even suggesting that you set up your church not by that, when you set up, like, the groups within your church, like maybe even the support groups, that you do it by, like, okay, we have these many nurses in our church, so you guys are going to start a small group of nurses. And then you guys are educators. We're also going to start a small group for educators, so that you can actually, when people go to church, the support that they're getting is focused more on, like, how do we help people at work? How do we do a good job at work? How do we,
Because I think you said later that so much, like, you spend so much time at work.
Yeah.
And you develop, like, that's the community you spend the most time with, other than your family. I spend way more time with the people I know at work than the people at church. And and honestly, when I was pregnant, when our when the son was born, if it had not been for the work baby shower, I do not know what we would have done, because it's mostly like older women with a few younger women that don't have children, and all those people are just looking for excuses to buy baby stuff. And they all have had kids and grandkids, so they know what you actually need. So I don't know what we would have done if it wasn't for all the actually applicable baby stuff that all these people got
during
us.
the week, I spend a third of my waking hours at work, but when you factor in the weekend, it's still a fourth of your waking hours. So that's why, it's really important to me. Like, when I left my old job and I came to my new job, like, I was so bummed at first, and I knew it would happen. Like, I'd come home every day and tell Gabe, like, we're not friends yet. I have to have, like, real friendships with people at work.
You're so different from me.
Well, otherwise I feel like, what am I doing with my life? Like, if your life is not happening when you're at work, then you're just locking yourself in a cage for a fourth of your life. Like,
I have very few, like, I have a lot of work acquaintances that, like, we'll go out to lunch occasionally and we'll talk in the hall, but I only have probably 2 or 3, like, actual work friends that we talk about actual stuff.
That's enough, just as long as
okay, it sounded like you were like...
Well, if everyone would let me be their friend, I would be friends with all of them, but a couple is enough. I mean, my last job, Brian and Lindsay were, like, my people. And I liked everybody else.
Mostly, if you want to know the truth, mostly my Christian mission at work is to not be
scream at people?
Completely grumpy. Because I'm not a people person. Like, when somebody comes and tries to talk to me about something and I've been at work for less than 45 minutes, it is the effort to not be like, what the frick? I have not been here long enough for anybody to be talking to me.
That's funny.
I think I do a pretty good job, though. I think I'm mostly not grumpy.
That's good. Oh, man.
They're such nice people. I'm like...
They're pretty nice at my new job. The only thing is, like, I think quite a few of them are very normal. So I don't seem to be gelling right away. There are these little...
Are they not prepared to have human pet?
Yeah. They have no need nor time for a human pet. But there's a couple of the lawyers that are definitely goofballs, and so they had these, like, Christmas flamingos left over from last Christmas, and so one of them ended up on my desk. And so I came home and I told Gabe, like, put it in one of the filing cabinets where one of the assistants she's going to find it when she goes to file. I was like, I kind of thought about, like, trying to find a spring and, like, rigging it. And Gabe was like, Alicia, don't start this, you know.
Oh my gosh. That'd be so awesome, though. You don't want to start it, because it just, if you start there, then it's a pattern of escalation.
I'd be fine with the escalation. I think Gabe was more of just like, they don't want that, Alicia. Like, you did enough.
Yeah.
That's where you stop. Okay. Yeah. I did find one blog because I was trying to look for talking points, and it was 5 historical themes for Christians in the workplace. And I was actually, I'll put a link. I was going to put the name of the guy.
Excuse me.
It came from a website. It was like, I forgot the name of it. It was something about like, faith and profession foundation or something, or faith within profession or something like that. I don't remember.
Anyways. Sounds like a useful organization.
So these are supposed to be like 5 historical views of Christians about work. And the first one was personal purpose, or calling in daily life. Whatever your position in life, you are called to fulfill God's purposes while here on earth. We all know the verse, whatever you do, do it heartily as unto the Lord.
And that's why you don't grouse at your coworkers.
Yeah. The second one was stewardship, related to what some call co-regency. We are co-creators with God and have a responsibility to use wisely the responsibilities, the gifts, and the opportunities we are given. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Economic justice and business ethics.
Oh, here we go.
We as Christians have a concern for the impact of our economic actions on others, in particular the weak, i.e. the widow, the orphan, the alien. This one made me think of a lot of things. First of all, it made me think, wasn't it John the Baptist who was telling different people were coming to him and saying, like, what should we do? What should we do? Mm-hmm. And I always have found it interesting that one of the things he told to the group of soldiers that came to him was he told them to be content with their wages. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's not capitalism.
No.
Yeah.
I just heard on I feel like it was on NPR, where somebody was talking about, it was a politician talking about, like, personally making the choice to buy from local, like, mom and pop stores instead of large things, because it's better for the community. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, actually.
That's like using your money economically. But then I had other thoughts, because I'm like, well, yeah, that keeps those people in business, but Amazon's keeping the postal service going.
That's true.
At this point, so it's like,
yeah.
Do jobs but anyway,
no matter who you're buying from, you're always keeping somebody in business.
Yeah, but and keeping somebody else from getting that same money.
And I'm not so concerned with Americans having money as opposed to Chinese having money, but yesterday I had to explain to Evie what sweatshops are. Mm. And so after I had to explain to her what sweatshops were, I did think, like, I think we might try to buy American made, just because, labor is so much more regulated here. I'm
always torn on that one too, because I've heard it pointed out, okay, so you're not buying stuff from these countries because they have child labor. What happens to those children when they're not employed?
Yeah, but you can't support a horrible system just because you're afraid of what's going to happen when it collapses. To me, that's not a good enough reason to support a horrible system. Because
you can't change a system by just pulling the money out from under the people who need it the most either, though.
Yeah.
See, I'm always kind of conflicted. It doesn't come up very often for me either, because I buy all my stuff secondhand.
One of the things that, no matter how, like, stupid America is sometimes, I do actually have a lot of respect for how much foreign aid we pump out there. Yeah. I really do. Yeah. And I mean, people are always saying, like, oh, no. Well, no, they aren't always saying this. This is me being a brat about what they say. They're like, oh, no, gay marriage is legal. God's going to smite us. It's like, I think in some ways, probably some of the blessing we have from God is because we as a country and as individuals, like, pump out a lot of money for the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. And that probably buys us a little bit of blessing. Yeah.
Anyway, really didn't have much.
That sounds sick. It sounds sick that it buys us blessing. But you know what I mean? Like, I think
Yeah, if there's a ledger somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not trying to, yeah. I don't know if that makes it better. Okay, but when it talks about, like, justice in the workplace, actually the other main thing it made me think of was standing up for coworkers and standing up for yourself when it keeps the workplace safe and fair. You know, because when Gabe worked at the factory, when Gabe worked at the factory and they were constantly asking him to do unsafe stuff, he would just tell them, like, no. And they would get really pissed at him, and they would get threatening, and they would storm off like they were going to fire him. And then, but he would tell me, he's like, well, he told me, like, the only reason, well, and you know,
and you think of workplaces where it's like it's really unsafe, but it's also, you don't call OSHA. Like, you know, you don't invoke but like it's just a normal thing. Like, you all know that this is horribly unsafe, but nobody will ever report
Well, none of the other guys want to do that stuff, but they're too afraid to lose their job to say anything. So it's like, and Gabe would tell me, like, the other guys, if they would try to stand up, their wives would get mad at them because they, you know, they need the money. But I always told him, like, you know what, I'm glad you do it, because when you stand up for yourself in a situation like that, you're keeping everyone from taking advantage of. Yeah, it's a corporate situation. Yeah. Because if one guy will go in and do it, then
that's the standard. Then everybody has to do it.
Yeah, then everybody has to do it. And then I also, I heard...
That's where unions came from.
Once again, this is somebody who was quoting somebody, and I think maybe he was quoting Bonhoeffer, but I heard a Muslim make the statement that in Christianity, there is a justice requirement before the privilege of worship is allowed. Because he was saying, like, in your own religion, you are required to
like, leave your sacrifice and go.
Yeah, he was saying, like, you are supposed to get justice for the people who are being oppressed. Otherwise, you don't have the privilege of, you don't get to go ignore people and then go worship God. And I was like, oh man,
it's one unit.
Okay. Lifestyle modesty complemented by generosity. These are, again, 5 historical themes from Christians in the workplace. Christians, and Protestants in particular, believe that good Christian behavior and belief in business leads to positive commercial results. Even financial success, and success is demonstrated in modesty, moderation in consuming, and generous giving. I mean, I know about the generous giving. I don't know that American Christians worry about moderation in consuming.
No, I wouldn't say that that's like a central tenet.
Let's drain the earth of precious resources. There'll always be more. The faster we burn them up, the sooner Jesus is going to come back. So. But generous giving, yeah, we really are. We're all about that.
Yeah. I think we do pretty good on that one.
I actually think we do too. And I think in a lot of ways, Christians really are kind of mean. But I think that, like, when people are, like, stamping their opinion of Christians on people, it's because they don't realize, like, how much money and stuff and time Christians really do give. Yeah. Yeah. So factor that in too. Like, they might kind of be jerks sometimes, but they probably give poor people a lot more money than you do if you don't give poor people money. Because almost all of us give poor people money. Okay.
I know I've read stats on that, but I don't remember what they are.
They're probably hard to figure out.
Oh, they've got them. Oh, they keep
them. What you're giving to a charity, but they have no clue what you're giving to your neighbors or your coworkers.
Or what churches give out of their funds that are set aside for that purpose. A lot of times, people in the church don't know what the church is giving to.
Yeah, because a lot of churches, I mean, our church included, sometimes people will just call up and say, like, can you buy me groceries? And somebody will just be like, yeah, I got $50. Go get some groceries.
And some churches keep a fund specifically for that because they get enough calls where it's like, yep, we got money for that.
Finally, Christians believe they are Christ's representatives through evangelism and service. Many are verbally expressive about their faith. Others seek ways to serve the world around them. In either case, Christians feel called to bring a message or service to those they see as in need. I agree with that one too. I try to tell myself to be helpful anytime somebody asks for help. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can do that in just about any job.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'm trepidatious about this part, the women in the workplace stuff.
What's trepidatious mean?
Nervous and fearful. Because I have many opinions on gender, and I tend to get riled up. So I'm going to try to not get riled up and say and do things that I live to regret.
That sounds good.
2 seconds later, I would regret them.
Oh, okay.
But I can do this.
Because I don't really know if I have anything else to say about Christians in the workplace.
Yep. We go to work.
Most
of us have jobs.
Okay, my very first statement, which is, I wouldn't even call it bias. This is my experience in entry-level service industry. Food,
I like how you qualify that.
Yeah, in entry-level service industry jobs, young girls are better employees than young boys by far. And in my experience, it is because girls will care about performing well, completely independent of whether or not they're being paid well. And for boys, it is straight up completely like work to reward ratio thinking.
Like, are you talking teenagers like that? That sort of age?
The older you get, the less the difference is there between men and women. So in this kind of job. So I
don't see that kind of difference in the people I supervise, between 18 and 24. I don't see that difference. Actually, my worst employees have been girls.
They might not make a lot of money, but they still have a good job, and they're probably smart enough to realize it's a good job. We're talking about crappy jobs.
I wonder if that's like a function of the later development of the the parts of the brain that get you to look long term.
I don't think so. I think girls care more about they care more about actually doing a good job. If they know they did a bad job, they feel bad about it. Boys do not care. All they're working for is the pay. So if the pay is crap, the work is crap. But girls might know that the pay is going to be awful, but it doesn't matter because they still have like a reaction about themselves that in their work.
So you don't think it has anything to do with like long-term thinking, okay, I need to do well in this job so that I have a good reference so that I can get a better job?
No, they don't worry about references in fast food.
Oh. I've never had a fast food job, so I don't know. They don't
worry. The reason people don't worry too much about references.
I always worry about references in every job I've had, even when I was a lunch lady. I always worried about
People don't want a bad reference from fast food, but there's not a big, how much is a good reference from fast food going to do for you? Like, man, she took those orders so accurately. She did a job that literally anyone could, like, we have, like, mentally handicapped people that do this job, and she can do it as well. Like, that's what your good reference, like, from fast food is going to be.
Did you actually call people's previous references?
No, I usually just interviewed them and met them. And it was just from the interview to see if, like, are they shady? Mm-hmm. Are they drama? Did they change out their pajamas? They all changed out their pajamas.
I don't usually either. And I always wonder, is this like the dirty secret of jobs that nobody's calling your freaking references?
Higher up jobs, the state definitely does.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, but the state has like very strict procedures about how they hire people.
Because it's a state. It's a bureaucracy.
I'm sure they're required to call your references.
Oh, bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm.
So orderly.
Yeah.
I'm one of nature's bureaucrats.
It's so orderly and slow. It's the most orderly turtle you ever saw in your life.
Everything should be so slow.
Oh, man.
Man, I'm having such a hard time focusing.
Okay, that's fine. Well, what do you want to say about women in the workplace?
When we came up with these topics, it was like...
because what actually happened in the church you go to once.
Yeah, I was going to try not to talk about that.
Wasn't it like a reading?
Okay, so it was Mother's Day. It was Mother's Day.
Lark, maybe you just don't go to church on Mother's Day weekend.
No, I don't. I accidentally went to church on Mother's Day. I wasn't thinking about it. And then actually I was like, wow, this service is going... I haven't felt patronized. I haven't felt like motherhood has been like wildly sentimentalized. Uh-huh. It was fabulous. Mm-hmm. And then the reading came... And I don't know who picked the reading, so I'm not throwing blame at any particular person.
Let's just blame it the whole old lady population of your church.
I don't even know.
Because it was one of them.
No, I don't even know. I have no idea.
Do we need to throw the old men in there
There's
too?
lots of different contingencies, and not all of them are drawn on demographic lines.
I'm just kidding. It wasn't Grandma. Grandma's actually really proud of us for having jobs.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. She always wanted one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so the reading was titled "Mothers, Please Stay Home." And it was about the latchkey kid crisis and how this could only be solved if women would quit their jobs and stay.
How are latchkey kids a crisis?
It's not anymore. Part of me was like, gosh, like 1993
Guys,
called. They want their social problem
It never
back.
was.
We were latchkey kids. We were okay. Now the crisis is paying for childcare. I don't know if there are I'm sure there are. But you know, the thing you hear about all the time is people spending, you know, having so much money they have
Our
to spend
kids
on
will probably be latchkey kids at a younger age than what we feel comfortable telling people they are, because we're going to be afraid that someone will call us into the police because people are crazy.
Yeah, people are crazy.
But we don't want social services showing up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I was irate. Normally what happens when I become irate is
Let me guess. Can I guess?
Yeah, I bet you're gonna get.
Do you avoid the situation?
No.
Man.
This is when I get irate enough that I can't avoid the situation. Which it's only happened twice, and this is one of those 2 times in relation to church. I normally write a letter to the pastor.
Yeah.
But we were in the midst of changing pastors, so I didn't...
who do you write to?
Who do I write to? Because the pastor that was there isn't the pastor anymore, and the new guys, I don't want to throw that on the new guy. It's not, you know, he wasn't there.
Yeah.
It seemed unfair, but so I haven't been able to vent my irateness. I left at the time. I turned about. I was like, okay, I didn't say this whole thing. I sat through it because I was like, okay, I want to be fair, and maybe this isn't going where I think it's going. It went where I thought it was going, and then I just turned about and like, I'm taking my child. So I did. Tynes and I went on a lovely walk for the rest of the service.
Man, oh man.
But now it's like that has kind of passed, and I'm kind of at the point where it's like, I don't really care what other Christians think about it so much, because this is decided.
I hope you understand too, and I know that you do. That was the voice of a very small remnant.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know from conversations that there were other people in the church that were like, what now?
Yeah, because to me, the conversation of whether or not either parent stays home or not, that conversation is over, because out of economic necessity, in almost every family, both people are going to work.
Yeah.
That's just...
I'm always so entertained by essay or, you know, articles that talk about this subject and talk about, you know, being able to stay home.
Yeah.
And it's always like, this is clearly coming from a particular class position that is alien to the majority of people. Because it's not really... I mean, even if I had the choice, I think I would. Yeah. At least, you know, my goal right now is to get things set up so that I can work half-time. Because I think that sounds like the idea, like our aunt, too. Like, how she had her schedule set up so that she had 2 full days off a week, I think. Yeah. Something like that, where she was, you know, it seems like, you could get some of both that way. Yeah. Because I start to go nuts when I don't have...
I found this really wonderful essay called The Weaker Sex, which was mostly about how economic independence has made women unmarriable. Oh. And it was written by this woman who's divorced. And she was just saying, you know, the fact that we don't have to depend on men for anything has just made it so that, like, we're so intolerant of all of their weaknesses and flaws that, like, you pretty much can't stay married to us because, like... part of that is because, like, we have had... At first, things were really divided as to, like, chores. You know, like one went to work and one worked their ass off at home.
Yeah, it was the Victorian division between the public and private sphere.
And so then, now that both work, for a lot of us, most of what goes on at home is still demanded of us. Until a major appliance breaks, it's still us. And there's no way that's going to happen, and there isn't going to be any resentment.
You know, an interesting stat is that the disparity between who does chores actually around the house actually increases when the woman makes more money. The more money a woman makes relative to the husband, the less willing the husband is to help at home.
Because he's just already being like demasculated.
Yeah, because of masculine ideas. Yeah. Ideals and...
Yeah, emasculated, that's the word, and not demasculized. But I came around to it eventually. No, and that's one of the things too, is that so at one point she was talking about how she's like, you know, I love working and this stuff, but there are still nights where I open the fridge and when I just see like that there's nothing but like Tupperware that the lid doesn't even fit in it on anymore because it's been over microwave. She was like, I just freak out. Like, where are my no one is taking care of us. She's like, there's no one at home taking care of us. And I was like, it's true. Like we do crave having a caretaker at home. Mm-hmm. I don't think most of us care who it is, but I think for a lot of both work. We come home and we're like, this isn't how it's supposed to be. Where are the muffins? Where is the roast and potatoes? Like, this floor isn't vacuumed? Like, this is wrong. But I feel so limited by time. I just don't have time. I want to have a job, and I actually, because I fit our gender role like annoyingly well, I want to do all the housework.
That's actually another thing, is that part of the disparity is actually due to, I can't remember the term, but there's this thing where women will shut men out of doing that sort of thing, kind of block them from doing it because they want to be the ones doing it despite the fact that they don't have enough time for it.
Well, I'm better at it. Mostly because I've been doing it for so much longer. I remember at one point Gabe was like, I'll help you out. Like, just write me the grocery list and have me go get the groceries. And I was like, but it'll take so long before you get the right stuff.
And you have specific ideas about, oh, bless his heart. Our stepdad, one time, he was going grocery shopping without mom. And so he asked, do you want anything? So I wrote down some things, and they were mostly like vegetable-related things because I was like really into health food at the time. I ate a lot more pizza now. But he got, like, I put down sprouts, and I meant like green alfalfa sprouts, and I put down lettuce. And he came back with bean sprouts and hearts of romaine. So he went and got like the least vegetable-looking vegetables that he could.
Bean sprouts are gross.
That. I like them now, but I didn't like them. They were not like. I wanted green things, and he went and found like the least green alternatives.
Obviously, I don't think that women,
because you have an idea specifically in your head and what you
I don't think we're naturally better at grocery shopping. No, that's crazy. No. It's just that like I've been doing it for so long.
Yeah, so you have
that he would have to start at scratch, and it's almost like
and build up that.
Yeah, I'm like, I just don't want to.
Now and I almost always do it together because it's more like an outing. You know, we take the small child and he gets the free cookie at the bakery. And
I mean, talking about women at the workplace, like for me, it slowly morphed into talking about women like in the like at home.
It bleeds into all other kinds of conversations.
Yeah, and you know, I don't even blame Gabe for letting me do most of the housework because girls really are groomed for it. And so if
cultural conditioning.
If I had a spouse who, without me asking them to, just naturally got up to make the food and then clean up after the food and do the laundry, I wouldn't stop them. You know, like I understand, like you know, like Gabe didn't push me into those roles. It's just that he's like, well, you're gonna do it, okay?
That's fine.
And you know, there are certain things that I'm like, well, there aren't very many though, because I do know a lot of women that they're like, I'm not mowing the lawn, but I like to mow the lawn, but I
love mowing the lawn.
I won't touch the cars.
I can't while I'm pregnant.
There's no need for me to worry about car trouble. That's all Gabe. And he knows it. Anything breaks, he has to fix it. And then I got into like women and motherhood when I was like making my notes. I was like, I'm going too far.
Oh, women, that should be like its own.
Probably.
Its own freaking thing.
Yeah.
Can we check what time it is?
Yes, we can. It is 7:34.
Okay, I'm good.
But I do think that for, it's like how they say, like the barriers to women getting into STEM jobs or STEM, like wanting to go to school for STEM stuff, that a lot of it has to do with, some of it has to do with the stereotypes, girls just assuming they aren't going to be good at those things because they've kind of been told that girls aren't good. But part of it also is because of the way that girls deal with failure as opposed to how boys deal with failure.
I've heard that. I also know some people that tried to do that kind of stuff who left because the men in those areas, like not all, of course, but a critical mass of the men in those areas were like really terrible.
I do have to say, though, I imagine that's going to get better and better.
Yeah, I imagine it would be too, because surely that's just going to become less acceptable.
And because it's getting pushed a lot more now that girls need to be, that if our economy is going to make it, everybody needs to be better at STEM.
But yeah, women do tend to like taking the failure more as this is something wrong with me, not like I just did something wrong on this thing. It's more like this says something about me instead of this just being.
I had read that like boys will see a failure a lot more likely. They're a lot more likely to see it as a challenge, and they're also a lot more likely to think outside forces contributed to it, as to where girls think if I failed it was completely me.
Yeah,
nothing
that's
else.
my fault.
But I also read that the way you praise girls can make them lose motivation.
Yeah.
That you can't.
The way you praise any child can.
Well, boys, if you tell a boy like you're so smart, that will motivate them more. If you tell a girl you're so smart, that's more likely to make her feel pressure and make her back away from it.
The studies I've seen have said that that's across
I just read
the
one.
board.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that all children, you don't want to tell them.
You want to tell them
smart.
like you worked really hard.
Yeah, you worked really hard because then
you did a good job on this.
Then they internalize. I can, if I work hard, I can do things. Instead of being like, this is a trait, and if I can't do something, then I just can't do it.
Yeah, and if I fail next time, it's because I don't have that ability. Yeah, because obviously last time I did well because I did have that ability. Yeah,
I kind of see that myself actually because I'm very impatient. And I pick up on how to do most things pretty quickly. If there's something that I don't pick up on really quickly, I'm less likely to I'm more, and people were always telling me I was smart. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. Maybe
when we were growing up, were you not afraid of failure?
Oh, I probably was.
I'm super afraid of failure.
I think I was always afraid of failure.
I avoid it like the plague. Actually, not so much.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have thought.
When I was a kid, I did. When I don't, at some point, especially once you like move out and start getting jobs. If you're afraid of failure, you'll get over it pretty quickly. Yeah. Because you can't avoid situations where you're going to fail. Like, you have to do them.
Yeah, you're going to fail at, like, everything for the first week.
But when I was in school, anything where I thought I might fail, I would just avoid it. That's why I never played sports, because I wasn't naturally good at it. And the boys were very impatient, and they would yell at you. Yeah. So I'm like, I hate that feeling of failing.
I just didn't.
So I thought it was fun, but the boys yelled at you.
I never thought it was fun. Well, actually, in middle school for a little while, I liked basketball for a little while, but I didn't like it competitive.
I remember I was at Port Austin like one weekend, and Jesse Edwards was like, "I'm gonna teach you how to play basketball." This kid's like 8 years younger than me, but he's such a nut. And I was just like, okay. So he was maybe like 14 at the time. I was out of high school.
Did he teach you how to play basketball?
But he was like, I'm going to teach you how to play basketball. But he did tell me, he's like, I feel like if you would have had brothers, you maybe wouldn't have sucked at this. But he told me, he's like, it's probably too late for you.
There was a point in high school where we had like this super long unit on soccer. And I actually did start getting good enough that they would let me play goalie. Like in a positive way, not in like a, you go play goalie so you're not here. Yeah. But it was brief.
I think he made me play hockey with him too.
I like hockey. I liked hockey when I was a kid, and all you do is like, there's no rules. You just try to get that puck in the other thing.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. Well, my other stuff isn't necessarily about women at work either. It's just like things that we like tell women or teach women. I do feel like we raise little girls not even as necessarily individual parents, but as a culture as a whole. We raise,
to say that.
I feel like the culture promotes.
We're caught up in waves that are pushing us places.
Yeah, because it's everything. It's cartoons, it's stories, it's books, it's movies, it's all the teachers being female. It's lots and lots of things.
It's a massive systemic thing.
We do raise girls to be more subservient than little boys, but actually the fact that we raise girls to be subservient to me isn't a bad thing. The bad thing is that we don't also raise little boys to understand. Little girls should be raised to understand.
I think I would choose a different word than subservient because that has innate negative connotations.
I think that little girls should be raised knowing how to be a servant to others, and I think little girls should be raised knowing how to stand up for themselves. And I think little boys should be raised knowing how to be a servant to others, and little boys should be raised knowing how to stand up for themselves. But we teach little girls how to be servants to others, and we teach little boys how to stand up for themselves. How does that not going to equal a marriage where one person's taken advantage of? Like that's gonna cause some problems. But I
had a story to go with that because I did read that part of my notes. I was reading. I don't remember what book it was, but they told a story about a youth camp or a youth retreat that they were at, where they wanted to teach the teenage kids about humility and service. And so they had all the girls, like, were supposed to serve the boys, like, they served them their meals and ate after them, and, like, did all these different things. And the writer of the book pointed out, this was a really valuable, object lesson that made all the kids think about this. But the fact that it never even occurred to the people running the camp to have that the other way around.
They should have done one night and the other the next night.
And why would you necessarily even why would you, like the very fact that
they separated
gender lines was what came to mind as the way to divide
If you wanted to be biblical, probably you should have separated it by age. But I still value the fact that I was raised being taught to be a servant to others, though. It's not as if I don't think I should have been taught that.
It's a good thing.
I think it makes girls more naturally able to understand what Jesus is talking about.
It makes it easier for them to adapt to what is a service industry. Our service economy. I mean, it's shifting into knowledge economy.
But I mean, there are things spiritually that little boys are probably groomed to understand in little things. But the things I don't know what those things are because I'm not a boy. But I can clearly see that there are things that the gospel promotes that are much easier for me to accept than for Gabe to accept. And that's not all about gender. That's also just about personality. Because the personality of his family across the board is more assertive than ours.
Oh, gosh, we're at two ends of the extreme.
So, I mean, some of it's personality, but and the other thing about girls and boys is that I feel like because they want to make sure that boys know how to be assertive, which is very important, and protective, which I'm not going to take that away from men. Men are more physically able to protect. It is actually more important for us that boys be raised to be protective than women.
Or at least protective in a physical way. There are other ways that women are. Other ways
You're right. There definitely are where women naturally tend to be better at it. But like if we have World War III, we want guys to enlist. So like there are benefits to make sure that men feel a stirring to protect other people physically because they're stronger. But I feel like we want to make sure they're assertive, so we just let their ego go to town. We don't push them to have like a big ego. We just don't bother to teach them to keep it in check.
It's okay, boys will be boys kind of thing where that's allowed without somebody pointing out, hey, this maybe isn't a great thing.
Like girls don't usually need to be like told at some point that they should be restraining their ego. We just know because we've been told, we've been raised that way.
We soak it in from lots of different sources.
But not all, but for some boys at a certain age, they have to realize like, I'm hurting people around me. I don't mean to be hurting them. What's going on? And that's not fair for them. I mean, they're responsible for themselves when they grow up and they better figure it out, but it's still...
Or they don't, and...
You don't want to set your sons up for that kind of... No. And being afraid of what will happen when the bad system collapses is no reason to keep promoting a bad system, so... And then I just got into, like, Can I just talk about this one weird thought, though?
Yeah.
One day I was doing something, I don't remember what, and I was thinking about, because I'm with you on this part of like our bodies are us and we are our bodies and our bodies aren't separate from us. There are clearly physical differences, and so I was wondering, like, does that teach us something about ourselves spiritually? And so I started thinking like the term Mother Earth, and I was like, is that an appropriate term, like Mother Earth? And I was like, well, women are for a long time in ancient times, apparently they thought of men as the fertile ones, because men.
Oh yeah.
But
they're actually ancient. They have records of ancient experiments where they thought all the woman does is hold the seed and give it a place. Or they would run experiments where they would have like different kinds of urns and they'd stick in there and then be like, well, a baby didn't grow. I don't know what's wrong here because this should have worked because that's.
But now and it's funny because now we think of women as the fertile ones. Yeah. Yeah, because like although both contribute a cell, everything happens in here. And so I was thinking about like the term like Mother Earth, and that I really think.
I wonder when that started. I mean, in some cultures it's always been.
Because like the god was the sky and the goddess was the earth. But I do think of our bodies as representing the earth much easier, because the earth doesn't actually produce any life. The earth just incubates it and takes care of it and lets it live off of it. Yeah. That there's a type of like bearing and like self-sacrifice that like a woman's body just like shows a picture of that a lot better than a man's body. Yeah.
Yeah, in that sense.
Yeah. And then so
I think maybe I want to look this up now and see if there are cultures where men were associated with the earth. Because I'm wondering if there are cultures where it's more like the emphasis is more on like the fight to get what you need from the earth. I'm thinking that could generate some more male associations, but I don't know if that's ever happened.
One of the things Gabe likes about the Germans is that they're pretty much the only ones who talk about the fatherland instead of the motherland.
Where was it? Because I'd heard before that they were the only ones, and then I was listening to something.
Oh, and they heard some other ones?
Yeah, it was some other country, but I don't remember what country it was now, and I tried to take note of it, but I don't remember what it was. I almost want to say it was China or Japan.
We can have an episode about motherhood. That'd actually probably be a good one.
We probably have to sooner or later, but.
Oh, because of that?
Yeah, because of this.
Yeah, let's wait till you're super huge.
Yeah, because it's gonna get like up to there. Because I saw pictures and that's like how far it was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder there's stretch marks.
But I don't know. Did we say enough for today?
I think so, because I gotta go home.
I thought it was going to be really focused, and then I wasn't.
Yeah, me too. I thought I was going to be like...
Well, I know there's things to talk about, but they get talked about all the time, like the way, like, attitudes are seen differently when they come from men or women in the workplace. Yeah. Actually, I was thinking about that is because when I wrote down Joan of Arc and Mark Twain. Mark Twain wrote a book about Joan of Arc. He was apparently really obsessed with Joan of Arc. And he saw her as like this golden example of like a woman who was in obviously an incredible place of leadership, but still maintained pretty much Victorian standards of femininity. Because she remained a virgin, and because
was that early in his career or later in his career?
I think it was actually later.
In how he thought about it.
Well, I know that he,
or at least TV has led me to believe that. Mark Twain has
I read one article that said that he was for women's right to vote, but at the same time, the idea of women getting deeply involved in politics sickened him because he thought politics was such a like down and dirty business.
Oh yeah.
That he didn't think that he didn't want women to lose like what he loved about women, which was
the private public division and the.
He didn't want to see women's characters turn into like.
What called the cult of true womanhood, or the cult of true femininity, the Victorian ideal woman.
Yeah,
womanhood and femininity.
I thought that was interesting though, because then I looked at the article because I've been reading his like Joan of Arc book, and one of the like things they said, they were like, if you read that book for Joan, you're probably gonna be bored. But if you read
it for Mark Twain,
if you read that book to like see how the narrator's voice really turns into Mark Twain's voice talking.
No, I want to read that.
Yeah, he was there.
Oh, I bet I could find it on audiobook.
Well, I have it. Oh.
Yeah, because I have like very little time to read, but unlimited time to listen.
Yeah, but the fact that like she was always concerned with others and not herself, like self-sacrifice and like chastity and stuff. You know, he thought like, yeah, this is how like women are gonna get rights, but they're still gonna be, and I thought that was, sometimes that is how they want women to be at work too. Like they even want women in leadership because they can see that like women are different from men, so having some male leadership and some female leadership tends to like you find more solutions to problems and all that sort of stuff. But and I think this is getting enormously better and better too. But they still want women to be women.
I actually read, it was
what they think
paper,
women are.
Yeah, a paper in a language and gender class. I have no idea what the author is, but I can look it up and we can put it in the description in case anybody wants to read an academic paper on this.
Yeah.
But it was profiling 3 different women in leadership positions and their positioning strategies for having that power and not as a woman without it like creating problems.
Yeah.
And
I have to say though, in some ways, when I go to work and my jobs, I'm not in a position of power.
This is also a paper from like the 80s or 90s.
I present myself in a specific way to specific people, and I do not feel bad about that. I mean, I make myself look as pretty as I have time to make myself look in the morning, because I'm not going to get up at 4:30 in the morning. I get up at 5:30.
I get up half an hour before I have to be out the door.
But I wear stuff
my hair looks like this.
I wear stuff that I think makes my female body look good, not sexy, but pretty, and I'm polite to people, which I not because I'm a woman, but because I know that people will take me better if I look pretty and if I am polite. I don't feel like I'm selling out my gender, and I don't apologize for it. Yeah, I know that because of how I look, because of this small body type, because of this like small female voice and stuff, like I know that I can use it to my advantage, or I can try to defy it on purpose. And if I had like a really assertive, boisterous personality, then I would have to ask myself questions on how do I deal with this.
But if you don't,
but since I
can't sustain that kind of effort day after day.
Since I don't see anything wrong with you, like the fact that I fit my gender role so well. I don't have any problem with using that to my advantage. I don't feel bad about that.
It doesn't come up for me too often. But I also work in a library, which is a female shifted.
Well, it's just like how
so
I know
it might be easier.
This is probably all getting weird, but it's just how, you know, like I was saying, like anybody to me that relates to me in a way that seems like, when I have old man bosses, I treat them the way I treat father figures. When I have old lady bosses, I treat them almost the way I treat mother figures, except for a lot less affection, because affection is weird in the workplace. And you can't assume other women are, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's just natural to me. I relate to men the way I relate to men. I relate to women the way I relate to women. I'm not necessarily, like, doing it on purpose.
Yeah, it's just...
Yeah, it's just...
You've got these models in your head, and it's easier to use those because... You use what you've already got. You don't have to put forth all the work to figure out something.
So it does probably make people... I could see how people could see me and think, like, I don't know, that, like, you should be yourself and not just act how you think women should have to act at work. But that's myself. Myself is how women act when women are expected to work or act at work. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm not anything other than what they expect me to be, but it's just the truth. I just am. Okay, pregnant Lark, you can go home now. Alicia's getting weird anyway.
No, I think this was good.
That's good.
I think I can handle future gender conversations because it's just you.
It's just me.
Yeah, it's just you.
And I'm not a man. Oh, man.
Good times.
Yeah.
Good times.